Welcome or welcome back to day 64 of our chess journey to 1500 ELO on chess.com. Let's just jump ahead into our game and find an opponent. So today we get the black pieces against Eldari 1975 from Georgia. We'll play the Sicilian. We get this. We might see a knight dwarf, but we get a delayed Alpin. Now I can't quite remember here, but I think this line with knight to f6 is still playable here. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it is. Typically speaking, we tend to go for knight to f6 in the Alpin. And I think this works here as well. They push. Well, obviously we have to take, I think. At least I'm pretty sure we are. Or we have to. Just trying to see if we have an alternative. I can't remember having played against someone pushing this in the delayed Alpin. Or well, the normal Alpin goes like this, so that might still be the best idea. Okay, let's jump in like a normal Alpin. Then I'm expecting this, and we'll take it from there. Our knight gets hit like this. E6 is a move, I'm pretty sure. At least I've got it in my notes in a normal Alpin. This game has taken an interesting route though. Although this might also be a move, followed by e6. Because if we play like this, I'm not quite happy with our game after this. So let's dodge this bishop first and then play e6. Now we don't have to worry about this check. The bishop could still come down and check us. If this is played, there might be an argument for playing like this, but I'd prefer coming up with the bishop, I think. Or would I? I'm not quite sure. The thing I don't quite like is this, but that's okay for us in this position. It just looks like a free pawn, although it would weaken us a bit, considering we don't have our knight there. Now, what have I missed here? Surely there is something, right? Here, they intend to come here with the queen. If the knight hits us, and if we come back here, the queen can't quite threaten us because we have our own queen that can slide over, or our bishop can join in. So I think our opponent just panicked and blundered, unless of course I'm missing something crucial. Let's take and see. I think our opponent might want for us to play this. I don't quite like the continuation. This seems safer. We can kick the knight out at some point. Yeah, I'm not quite sure what our opponent is thinking here. Just want to make sure we have a response to this. Here I think Yeah, I think d5 actually. And we should be good. Even c4 could be good in this position. So let's come back and see what we do. This might be an end sound attack, or there might be some merit behind it. I'm not quite sure, we'll have to find out. The queen comes over. This is their idea. This doesn't work yet because of the knight positioning, but sliding the queen on over, as I mentioned, seems pretty convincing. Now this pawn here is hit. We have to make a mental note to ourselves, so moving this bishop can be scary. Let's start out like this. Our opponent can't quite bring more pieces in here, so I think their attack should fall short. It's important to note here they don't have this diagonal check now because of our knight. Yeah, let's just slide on over and see what they intend to do. This is covered. They push the pawn. But now this here dislodges the knight. And we can take the pawn. Or can we? It's good we make those mental notes, because this pawn would be hanging. But still, let's have a look here. This is definitely tricky, because now they could go for this, but then we have this, and they don't get the rook. So this might be an only move again. I think so, at least. We don't have a knight that could come to d8, for example, which would be a nice square covering this pawn and this square here. I'm just scanning for other options, but I'm not quite seeing any. So this, as I mentioned, is probably our best move. The knight could jump in immediately, but then I think we move here and threaten. Well, the pawn is still not. Yeah, it's not threatened here. But I'm not seeing a way of defending apart from playing h6, so let's just come up here and see what they intend to do. Now we aren't forced to lose an exchange here. We can play this. The knight has to move, unless our opponent wants to trade. Yeah, we get this, but this doesn't convince me. Now the knight rather is trapped. And we could even play like this. I'm not quite sure what the best approach here is. But yeah, this should just be considered unsound, I'm pretty sure. This is the obvious looking move. I just want to check. There might be an argument for playing this and killing their attack, saying we are up material here. But then we do have some counterplay by our opponent. And I don't think I want to allow that. I don't think this attack here is all that dangerous yet. So let's go here. Just want to make sure we don't have any incoming threats. Like this, and looking for this, for example. Let's say we see this. This doesn't work. Well, this might be a good move though, allowing us to develop our bishop and protect ourselves. So yeah, I think this should be good. I would like to get this knight out. If the queen moves, this pawn is going to be weak. I'm pretty sure the evaluation here should favor us, but I'm not quite sure as to how much. This allows us to take here because we defend our pawn by getting our piece in front of it. Now this, I'm not seeing their idea. Only thing I'm seeing here is they are hitting our rook, but it's defended by the king, so I don't see the follow-up. Well, they are defending this pawn. Okay, that might be their idea. Do we just continue developing normally? Honestly, there might be an argument for playing queen to c6 here, looking for this, but I don't see a response to this. Seeking to play this. So let's come up here instead. This is a really aggressive player. But I like playing those as we develop our defensive instincts. I would have liked to bring a knight over here. That's not possible because of this pawn. So instead, let's go for this plan. Yeah, our opponent has not developed at all. So I'm pretty sure this should be good. We threaten this as well now. Or potentially this, depending on whether the queen moves or not. Oh, I didn't quite see this threat. Our opponent here intends to play this. But then we take. They might have missed this as well, actually. Oh no, of course, they want to win our queen, I'm realizing here. Okay, that's a good threat. They want this, we take, and they take here. Okay. Then, let's have a look. Honestly, this might be a move. We would get this, then we would take and just kill off their attack, and we have better development. Just sack the material back, as long as we can't defend our queen. I'm looking for a defense here for our queen. We can't move over, we can't go here, so it's looking like it's trapped. Although this looks convincing. We fork the pieces, but still this, and the fork means nothing. I think we have to sack material back here, so let's go for it. I didn't see a better response here, which it's unfortunate, I guess, but we do still have a better position, I'd like to say, at least. I think so, because of our development. Now if they take, we cover our queen. they should have to take our bishop, and we take the knight. It's not even a sack here, to be honest, because we get a piece as well. So this might... yeah, this is a really nice move, I think. Now we take, should be a no-brainer. It's important to note the squares are covered here. So now we are just up a clean piece, but we are down on the clock. I would like to pin this, then we would win the game. But I'm not seeing an easy way of doing so. So instead, let's focus on getting our pieces into the game. How about claiming the center and getting our bishop out, for instance? This looks good. E6 might be good as well. Let's come up to E5 instead and grab as much of the center as possible. This rook is going to be difficult to use. I didn't intend to play this, but I think it's okay. I was going to hover it. We can slide on over and open up this and trade rooks, for example. This looks okay. We don't want to take, I think. Although taking might be good as well. Takes, and we can play for this structure and coming around here. Although we would open up our king ever so slightly. No, I think taking actually works. I'm not seeing a massive downside, at least. Our diagonal is covered with our queen. Our opponent doesn't have a light squared bishop. Yeah, this opponent is just all about attacking. Attack, attack, attack. That's all I'm seeing. Let's have a look here. I'd like to bring this rook over. Oh, never mind. This is hit now, so let's play this first. I didn't realize they opened up the bishop. This, and we take. We have connected pawns. And they take, we take. Yep, this looks good. We can come over with the rook here, I think. I'd like to get this rook in, then we have to move our queen first, probably. Don't want to spend too much time considering our time situation. I'm looking at a few candidate moves. Let's bring this rook over first. Actually, let's bring the queen up here to open up our other rook. Then we can bring our bishop over. I think this looks good as well. I think several moves might have been good. I just want to get this rook into the game, at least. I'd like to occupy this diagonal to have a defense here. The g7 bishop might be important at some point rather. This is no threat, we can take. And we like trading pieces when up material. I think we'll go here and hit the queen with the rook the next move. This looks pretty nicely set up, I think, to grab those open files. This is covered, but I missed this being open now. I don't hope it gets played, but I don't see a good follow-up move. We slide on over, I think, and then prepare for moves like this. So this, I think, is what you'd call a paper tiger. It looks scary, but it's not really all that dangerous. At least not from what I can see. We keep on getting attacks, but now we can claim the initiative here, I think, by coming up with our rook. And we should have complete control over the files here, because the queen is the only one contesting them. Now I think this is better, because it threatens to trap the queen. This and the queen is lost, because we control this. So if our opponent continues with their plan, we win the game like this. The pawn was hanging. Well, that's not the end of the world. I would like to argue for coming here. Or so I'd like to say, but this knight is annoying. We can't come here. So now we have actually lost a lot of time. So I'd like to play a bit quick. Let's play a good move here. Just getting our king off of this diagonal. I think it should be okay, although we do have a lot of pieces we could have moved. This, I think we hit the bishop and x-ray the pawn. We'll just have to play logical moves and quickly. This pawn is what prevents us largely from coming in here and forcing a knight off at least. If this pawn ever moves, we can kick the knight and then look for this fork. The bishop here might have to come back, or we'll have this. And once we get two rooks onto this file, our attack should be pretty devastating. Now let's do something with our queen, I think. Can we come up here? I think so. We'll create Alekine's gun, as it's called. 3 heavy pieces connected. And we might have some options here of potentially forcing a queen trade or something. I didn't like the passivity of our queen on g6. Actually, this might have been better, I'm realizing. For the same reason, getting 2 rooks onto the file was good. this. Our opponent realizes this is defended. But do we not just have this here? I think so. No, then we get hit by a rook. Ah, we don't have time. I really didn't want to play this, but we might have to. This, and we force the queens off, and we still have a better position, but not as good of a position as we might have. I just didn't find a good move in time. The important word here, the keyword, is time. That's how we keep ourselves in the game. Oh, wait a second, let's not pre-move this. Is this pawn capture better? Here we hit the knight and can move up to e2 immediately. This looks promising. This hits the rook. They would have to defend like this. Let's go for this instead of capturing with the rook. We'll just push up all the way here. This might be unsound, I'm realizing, but considering our time situation, we might not have very good alternatives. This would block us. I really hate playing down on time. I guess we have this. This pawn here on b2 is what's preventing us from getting any good positions here. Don't have time to calculate here. This is somewhat of a semi-disaster, but it is how it is. This is what we have to play with. This is forced. We can take this pawn. The knight doesn't have moves because of our bishop. And we are still up material, 2 pieces and a pawn for a rook. Let's force off more material. This should happen. And then I think this should be a lot easier to play. Well, actually, they could come in here. No, they can't because of this knight, luckily. So we get this instead. This pawn might be threatened. We have to escort our knight out as well. Maybe coming in over here. This comes with a check, so that's no good for us. Instead, let's drop back. Threatening this pawn, so if they threaten our bishop, we get the pawn, I guess. No, but then they come in with a check. I'd like to push this pawn first. And now this is threatened. We have to defend this. Let's come back here, I guess. This is still hanging. Our opponent is threatening to trap the knight, perhaps? I don't quite know what the best approach here is. The rook is somewhat difficult to play against in this position because of its control, but we'll have to see what we do here. If we get this trade, we could look at getting to this pawn perhaps. We might have this idea. Our opponent pins us. But is this not just a... Oh, if we take... Okay, we might have to play here first. And then this should be free. So now we are up 2 pawns here, and we have 2 pieces for the rook, and our opponent resigns. Whew, God, this was a stressful game. Thanks for the game. Well played to our opponent. They gave us quite the difficult game. I'm curious to see how we should have responded to the attack, because I think we might have had a better defense. We spent a lot of time, and we did have to sack back some material. Or no, we didn't quite, because we got the knight, of course. Well, either way, let's jump on ahead into the game review. So this was a 77.7 game from us, and our opponent had 76.2. So we had hit the jackpot this game with 3 sevens. We had a brilliant move. I think that might be the bishop move, where we took the pawn earlier on. Let's see. We had some mistakes, so we'll go through them and see how we should have played differently here. We got a Sicilian, all normal stuff. This was all good, this was best, and this was just unsound. Here we were in a great position and blundered mate in 2. Yeah, about that. God, what's the mate looking like? This is quite the puzzle rush position, I guess. Yeah, this is the mate. This would have been incredibly funny to lose to. So here our best response instead was g6. And this move makes a lot of sense. We just develop our bishop, protect ourselves here. So why was I scared of this? I guess because we trap our rook, as I mentioned, but we just develop normally. Even takes here is good, and we are still up material. 2 pieces, and Yeah, it's just 2 pieces, not pawns. 2 pieces for the rook, and we have development, so this is a crushing position. Well, we played this, blundered mate in 2, none of us saw it. And this was indeed the brilliant move. I think this might have been forced, I didn't see a better response, but apparently we had several winning moves. Bishop to d7, let's have a look at this. I guess it's the same idea to some extent. And now we can take. We just don't get the extra pawn immediately. And we also threatened this knight, which was quite good. d5 was not the best move, it was playable as well though. It was definitely playable. But what happens here? Oh, this might just be some bizarre queen trap or something. Takes on e6. Oh, that's disgusting. Well, I would never have played this. This is some computer line. No one, I'm not gonna say no one, but typically speaking, you won't see this kind of a queen trap move in a normal game. Well, we played this and got this. This was good. We had several good moves here, pretty much with the same evaluation. We just had to get our pieces out, develop. This was all quite solid. The evaluation bar stays the same. Here, should we have defended this? No, this was apparently best, almost. No, d7. Let's have a look. Knight to d7, defending the pawn. Okay, that makes sense. Not losing the pawn and maybe preparing for b6 to connect our pawns. Well, we got this. The king move was okay as well, although the computer preferred this. h7 instead of g7. I went to g7. I don't quite know why. I guess we were behind a diagonal here either way, covered by our piece, so I didn't quite consider the difference here. They seem to be quite similar now that the computer has gotten time to calculate this well. g4, kicking the knight out, maybe launching a pawn storm. I didn't quite see this. This was somewhat weakening. I would just like to consolidate in this kind of position. Considering our advantage, here our best move once again was this. Queen to f7. No, that's not a move I would have played. Well, either way, we went up. This was decent as well. They went back. And here, this was this good. Yeah. This would have been forced maybe. And then we just take some stuff. Takes on f4 is the best move. Really showcasing how horrible of a position this was. Rook a to c1. We could have went back here, defending ourselves. Rook c to e, and then we might have forced our opponent to trade off all their stuff or something. Well, this didn't quite happen. We got this. We missed an idea here. Yeah, this was good. Forcing the queen out. Is it just a trap? Yeah, the best move is apparently coming back here and exchanging for this. But what happens here? Oh, that's... well... This is just cold-hearted, no? Coming up here. You can get captured by the knight. You can get... I don't know. I mean, it might have been easier to see once you identify this queen as trapped. But what happens if... oh no, they can't even try to force a queen trade because of the knight. So I guess, considering our opponent's options here, this might have been easier to spot, but not with 1 minute left on the clock. This made more sense to me, simplifying. Queen to d3 was best. I wanted the queens off the board immediately, considering our half minute. The pawn capture was best. Rook captures was decent as well, but not as good. This was pretty good. We still had a great advantage. Here, g4 was best. Let's say they take and take. Well, they don't want this. So let's see what should have happened here. Knight 6 here to e5. There is no chance I would have played this. Why is this not playable? Well, it's the best move, but we just give up our bishop. Just for fun, I guess. I guess we pick up this pawn. They come back here. First, I would have taken this knight first, or the rook rather. But rook to f8. Setting up discoveries. Knight to e3. I don't quite know actually. This is good for us as well, really good. I would not have spotted this considering our time situation. So we went up here, grabbed the pawn, traded, simplified. This was not good. But I would like to argue this here. This move might have won us the game even. Because considering our time situation, it's much more difficult to play accurate moves against those pieces here than it's against a single rook. So this might even be considered an MVP move by me, although the computer doesn't quite bless it. Here it likes b6, which we did play later on, but not in this position. This was all good. They defended themselves. This was good. We went back, which was an inaccuracy because of this move. Here we should have played king to f6, centralizing and protecting our bishop. Well, this makes sense. Then we take the squares away from the rook, so we can move the bishop without being worried about infiltration. But what about this? I guess here we are in a good position. We get the pawn for free. Okay, either way, we went back, they came up here. This almost lost all of our advantage. So what is the approach here? We should have went back with our king, apparently. Or we should have played a5. I would guess it would be to look for b5. a6 rather. I don't quite see why a5 says... oh no, it's a5, not a6. Now this is a bit more difficult for me to understand, to be honest. It might be because we can just lock our bishop down here and it's got great squares, I guess. But I would have thought we would have wanted to have a tangible way of getting a passed pawn and not locking our structure. because if we push here, they can take and they queen first. So this requires attention from now on. Well, they blundered. Their best move here was taking. And if we take, oh yeah, this, I guess we might just be entirely trapped. I think so. Yeah, we are just trapped. Our opponent would play here, and the knight trap is unavoidable, I think. But that might not be all that bad, because let's say we go here. Not necessarily there. Let's say, I don't quite know. Let's say we go back like the computer wants. They go here. I don't really think they can take, because if they do, we get a queen. So we have such a good position here, we can sack 2 pieces for the rook and still win. But we almost lost our advantage though. This was good, and here our opponent resigned, seeing we just extended our advantage, and this would have been a conversion on the queen side. Well, once again, thanks a lot for the game, Eldari 1975. This has been our game for today, guys. Thanks a lot for watching, and I hope to see you all tomorrow. Bye bye!